What is going on, everyone? This is your RCW podcast for December 11th, 2022. Only going to touch on a few topics today, namely Bray Wyatt and what we have seen this past week, and a couple theories on that, as well as the William Regal situation. Everything else is kind of here and there. It's kind of just there. But those are the main two things I'm going to talk about today on this episode. Try to keep it short and sweet for you guys. So we're going to kick things off with William Regal. William Regal is going back to the WWE. People were wondering, how is this even possible? Meltzer said that he thought he signed a 3-year deal, which once Tony Khan went on the conference call and explained things, which is very rare for him to do. Very, very rare. Usually he's just, running off all the great wrestling they're going to have this week. There's lots of great wrestling this week. That's all he ever says. Now, he said it plenty in that conference call, but he did actually go and elaborate. His mother was ill, and she had a couple strokes, which is horrible. I pick on Tony Khan, but I don't ever wish anything bad like that on anyone. So hopefully she's recovering well. So that led into the reason William Regal was granted his release. Now, his son, Charlie Dempsey, works in NXT. Of course, he wants to be with his son. William Regal never wanted to leave to begin with. He wouldn't have had to have left if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. Okay? So, let's just put that out there right away. He never wanted to leave to begin with, but he did want work. So, of course, Tony Khan provided him with a job, which is great. And he's been fantastic on the show. One of the best things on the show, really. Tony Khan said that he did not want to renew the contract at the end of the year or pick up the option on it. So I'm guessing it was a 1-year contract with a 2-year option, maybe, or something to that effect. And that's where the 3 years came in, maybe. I'm just guessing. But Tony granted him his release, thinking about how he has his situation with his mother and he doesn't want to keep anyone from their kids or their families, he says, okay? And so William Regal is going back to the WWE, mainly in a backstage role. You may not see him on TV right away because there may be a no-compete type clause involved where he can't appear on television for a certain amount of time. But neither here nor there, he is going back to WWE and with his good friend Triple H as well to help run things over there and to oversee his son, which is great. Happy to hear this. We all kind of saw it coming, but weren't sure. Now we know for sure. So, very happy to hear that. And happy to hear that Tony had obliged so nicely and respectfully. Now, with that said, Tony says it's a family-first company. That's what he says. Family-first company. Okay? So, William Regal and his son, does that only mean sons and daughters? Or mothers and fathers? Does family first company only mean mothers and fathers, sons and daughters? Is that really the definition of it? Because apparently the wives don't matter. Apparently the husbands don't matter. Because what about Malachi, a.k.a. Aleister Black? He wanted to go back to WWE. I'm sure not just, obviously, because Triple H is in charge now, but his wife works there. Okay? Maybe he wants to work where his wife works so they're not apart so much. All right? I mean, maybe it works out because you figure if he's wrestling on Wednesday, he's gone. That's usually around their days off for WWE, so they're kind of in passing probably. So he probably wanted to go back to work, to be with his wife, work for Triple H, things like this. But, I mean, his wife works there. It's one good reason to want to go back. Tony didn't grant him that. I guess family didn't come first in that situation. Nor did it come first in Andrade's situation. Obviously, Andrade's wife, Charlotte Flair, works at the WWE. She hasn't been seen in a long time, which is apparently due to some kind of operation. God knows how many operations she's had already. I'm not trying to be mean, but I mean, good Lord, woman, you looked great. You don't need to do any of that, but hey, what do I know? You want to do that and carve yourself up real nice? Go for it. But at the end of the day, it is Andrade's wife, and maybe he wants to be with his wife, wants to go back, work for Triple H, and be with his wife. Well, I guess the wife didn't come first there either. Wives ain't coming first, and family ain't coming first in that situation, so I don't know. I just take that whole thing with a grain of salt as far as Tony Khan goes, because I think he's just saying the things that need to be said to, make him look good, I guess. But, I mean, William Regal is older. It's not like he's an in-ring performer on a daily basis or anything like that, so I understand that aspect of it. But he says, hey, he didn't say it was only pertaining to that type of a talent. He said the whole company is family first. Maybe just not wives and husbands first. All right, so let's move on to the Bray Wyatt topic. First and foremost, right out of the gate, all the prayers and the wishes go to Barry Windham. Hopefully he is recovering well. He had a horrible heart attack, and it was bad. He didn't have a pulse for 20 minutes, I guess, Bray said, and it was ugly. But he is recovering. He's moving around. It looks like he's going to be okay, thank God. So, all the prayers and wishes to Barry Windham, and of course his family, Bray, Windham, Rotunda, all of them, Mike Rotunda, everybody. All the well wishes to them, and I hope he gets better real soon. That's just a terrible, terrible situation. Hate to hear that, but love to hear that he's going to be okay. And so with that said, we have our latest angle in the Bray Wyatt LA Knight story, where LA Knight says you'd have to be a fool not to realize that that's Bray Wyatt in the mask, and that that's not Bray Wyatt doing all this stuff. And he points out, in the background of the shots from the previous weeks of him being attacked, he points out that the mask has appeared in those segments. And he knows that that's Bray's mask, is one of his toys, he calls it, right? And then this past week on SmackDown, we get LA Knight. He's looking around in the back of the arena, looking for Bray. Walks into a room, finds a Bray Wyatt Moth logo shirt, and then the lights go out. So, of course, he pulls out his cell phone, turns the flashlight on, he starts looking around the room, and he turns around and, boom, guess who's there? That's Bray. Well, it's the Uncle Howdy mask, the hard shell Uncle Howdy mask, not the physical representation of Uncle Howdy like we've seen with the latex mask and all that, not that, but the mask that Bray wore on his return. So there's the Uncle Howdy mask when he turns around. And, ooh, who is it? People are still asking, could it be this person? Could it be that person? Look, it's Bray Wyatt, okay? The whole big reveal at the end of this, because we see Bray backstage in these segments that aren't necessarily his segment, but he's in the background, and he'll be talking to someone that's off camera. You can't see who he's talking to, okay? And then, of course, the whole Uncle Howdy thing, and Bray saying it's not him, and he doesn't know who's doing it, and this and that. It's just a misdirection, and I'm actually amazed that it's working on some people, because most of us are hardcore Bray Wyatt fans that listen to these types of podcasts and shows and everything else. We know the history of Bray Wyatt. We know all the little things that we heard about his character with the whole mental institution and the things before the Fiend came in, all that stuff. And then, of course, in the QR codes with the White Rabbit, they've even said it in that with the whole mental, almost saying that he's multiple personality disorder. I mean, it's telling you right there. But, it's kind of subtle and in the background. I know it's not right in your face, but it is all there. And when you put all the puzzle pieces together from the beginnings all the way up until now, with Bray Wyatt's character and a history of his character, us hardcore Bray Wyatt fans know exactly who's behind the mask. It is Bray Wyatt, okay? The big reveal in all of this is going to be that when he's backstage talking to somebody in the background, there's nobody there. He's just talking to himself, okay? And the big reveal will be when the mask comes off, it's Bray Wyatt. All the clues were already there before his return and on the night of his return, but we haven't seen those clues since, except for in some flashes with Uncle Howdy videos. Just keep that in mind. The big reveal, folks, is going to be that he's talking to himself in those segments, and that Uncle Howdy is, in fact, Bray Wyatt. And the mask signifies that personality change, like I've been saying. So that is where it's going. That is what's going on here. That's really all I got to say about that. I'm enjoying it. I still think they need to pick up the pace, get them in the ring, do something, have some squash matches, which is some random jobber, local talent, you know, just get them in the ring to do some action and still interweave the LA Knight story just so that it gets us to the Royal Rumble, because this is going to be really, really long and drawn out trying to get to the Royal Rumble with just more backstage segments or, you know, this and that and the third going on. You got to do something. I mean, maybe they don't have the match at the Royal Rumble. Maybe they're going to have this match on like Christmas SmackDown or who knows, right? But something's got to give a little bit in the action department. People are getting antsy. I'm patient enough to wait for it, but most people aren't in this day and age. And I don't want them to think that there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. It's just people are impatient. And anybody that knows Triple H and how Triple H books things, especially when you have Triple H and Bray Wyatt, and you have Triple H and Bray Wyatt and the horror writer that they hired, all working together, they're long-term storytellers, and they will stretch it out as far as they can go. But if we can get them in the ring and do just something with some jobbers and still interweave the LA Knight story in there, you know, maybe LA Knight tries to stop him, but he still squashes the jobber, and then something happens after, anything, right? Or LA Knight's in the back and he found a puppet and he's destroying it. I don't know, right? We got to do something to get some action going, because just the spooky hide and seek in the background isn't going to last forever as far as the audience interest, and they've already lost interest, some of them. Most of us have not. Most hardcore Bray fans and wrestling fans in general have not, but there are a lot that I've seen say, you know what, just pick up, do something, or I'm done, which we don't want that. So something's got to give. I don't know what, but something's got to give a little bit there. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. That's all I got for you this week. Those are the main topics I wanted to touch on. So with that said, catch you all down the road.